Hey, wait a second. I think I've seen this somewhere before.
You can't keep getting away with it!
We have made it to the final month of the regular season here in year number 3 of the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB The Show 25. We're going to get through September today all the way through game 162 as we wrap things up here with season number 3, at least with the regular season because, technically we kind of have a chance to make the playoffs, especially after a good month of August. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Certainly wouldn't count on it, but mathematically we are not yet eliminated. Only 19 and a half games out of the division and 12 and a half out of the wild card spot. Our 63 wins puts us ahead of where we finished in year 1, and it matches our win total from last year. And in terms of where the team was in 2024, we hit that win mark in June or July or something. We definitely did not expect to be a bottom dweller anymore this year, so it's good to see that, as we had hoped, we've made some strides. Last episode, of course, was the trade deadline. We sent away Akil Baddoo and Cionel Perez to the Rangers, while German Marquez ended up in Seattle. We added 3 top 20 prospects from these deals, including the switch pitcher, Jurangelo Cijntje, Emiliano Teodo, and then Jason Morabel from the Rangers in the Akil Baddoo, Cionel Perez deal. He's had a really good year in AAA, both with the Rangers and with our team. I think he could be the best of the 3 prospects we got. We also added some other major leaguers from a couple other teams. We got Dominic Canzone from Arizona, and they basically handed us John Curtis for free. Figured I wouldn't say no. We also got Ben Joyce from the Los Angeles Angels. Joyce was really good in 2024 and 25, but he's fallen off since then. The walks have been a problem. We had him pitch in AAA this past month. He did pretty well. I think well enough to have him come up to the big league club and make his White Sox debut here in the month of September. It was an exciting trade deadline around the league as well. A lot of movement. Brendan Donovan to Detroit. Lars Nootbaar to Baltimore. St. Louis shipping off some of their vets. The Nationals traded Dennis Santana and Luis Garcia to the Mets. Logan O'Hoppe to the Rangers. Texas looking to make it back to the World Series again. The Astros sold the farm. Jeremy Pena to Cleveland, and then Yordan Alvarez, Josh Hader, and Isaac Paredes to the Miami Marlins, looking to lock in a playoff spot. The Braves also sold the farm as they sent away Reynaldo Lopez to the Red Sox. We fulfilled the prophecy of bringing Ozzie Albies on the San Francisco Giants. And then the big dog, Ronald Acuna and Paul Sewald to the Los Angeles Dodgers. LA now has Acuna, Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. all hitting in the same lineup. That is terrifying. We also got to look at our draft picks in the last episode. Barney Wagner, the number 2 overall pick, is a 69 overall with 88 potential. I really like him. I'm super excited about him. It was a little bit of a buzzkill when we found out that the other guy we were considering, Antoine Sonnenberg, is a generational 82 overall. I really believe in Barney Wagner. It seems like a lot of you guys thought I was coping in the last episode, which honestly is pretty fair, but I think Barney's going to prove you guys wrong. We did end up with an 80, Ezra Valenzuela, in the second round, and my bold prediction for Ezra is that not only does he not pitch an inning of minor league baseball, I think he could be an all-star next year. I think he is that good. Super excited about adding him to the bullpen. As we get set for the final month of the year, I think the strategy is going to be kind of similar to last year in the sense that we're going to let the kids play. We brought up Edgar Caro and Braden Montgomery for the first time last September, and both of those guys played really well. And obviously, it carried over into this year for Edgar Caro. I guess we don't need Colson Montgomery at the top of the lineup. His wheel spin for August is over. I do want to look at Brian Ramos real quick because we did really think about trading him away during the trade deadline, given that he wants us to coddle him, play him at third base, keep him high in the order even though he's struggling. But my request in terms of a trade package did not meet the market, and I didn't want to give him away. This is a guy who's only 24 years old, multiple seasons of 20-plus home runs. I wanted to get at least one top 100 prospect in exchange for him, and nobody was willing to offer that. So rather than force a trade, I want to try to stick it out with him and work things through. A guy I'm really excited about for September is Cody Hosey. I want to get him on the field more. It's kind of challenging given that Brian Ramos is only willing to play third base, but we'll figure it out with Hosey here in September. As for the pitching, Drew Thorpe has been fantastic over the last couple of months since coming back from injury. He, of course, has been playing really, really well. It's been an up and down season for Higgins Smith and Noah Schultz, but at least they've been consistent in the rotation, unlike the other two spots currently occupied by some of our youngsters. Jairo Iriarte has not looked all that good so far. He's gotten better as the month has gone along, but he needs to pitch well in September. Otherwise, we're probably going to end the experiment of him being a starting pitcher and potentially move him into the bullpen full-time. So let's talk about our wheel spins going into the month of September. We'll start with our team. I wanted to pick a pitcher. I don't think we've done one since the very start of the year with Owen White. And I think I'm going to pick Noah Schultz, who has shown some good things this year. Definitely hasn't been a perfect season, but he looks like a good quality major league starter. He's had 3 really good outings in a row after a blow-up game against the Rangers. Only 3 earned runs in his last roughly 20 innings or so. So we'll see if he can continue to end the season strong going into the month of September in what is his first full season as a big league starter. So let's spin that wheel here for Noah Schultz, the final wheel spin for season number 3, and we land on power play, minus 20 to walks and hits per 9, plus 20 to homers and strikeouts per 9. I don't think this is a particularly good spin, even though his rating isn't going to go down. As we've learned, walks per 9 and hits per 9 are probably the 2 most important per 9 attributes in this game. So even though he's going to have more strikeouts and allow less homers, he's going to let up a lot more players on base. The division we spun for in the last episode was the AL West. Corey Seager landed on boosted, and he got to keep his boost if he played well. He did, but he's also Corey Seager. He's expected to play well, so I let him keep some of his rating adjustments, but he will go down a little bit to a 93. Cal Raleigh had swinging for the fences, 99 power for the month of August, although both have gone down quite a bit to 96. He only hit 4 home runs, though, in August, but his batting average went up. I don't get it. We saw it with Edgar Caro earlier in the year, and now Cal Raleigh. The contact ratings going down apparently are helping these guys. It's weird, but we're obviously going to have to push it back up. Robbie Snellian landed on spitting image. He was okay in August. He had 1 really good start, ironically, against us. Otherwise, he wasn't great. His rating will mostly stay the same, but we are going to make some changes into the per 9 attributes that he did well, such as hits per 9, and he's going to go down quite a bit in home runs per 9. Lawrence Butler landed on the suspicious surprise, the PEDs. Unlike Cedar Rafaela with the Red Sox, they actually helped him with an OPS above 1,000 over the last 10 games. We're going to have to spin the suspension wheel for him, though, and it lands on, yes! Oh, no! Lawrence Butler will be suspended for September along with April of next year. So now we will have to spin the other suspension wheel to see what ultimately ends up happening to his ratings. We'll see if he gets to keep his boost, if he'll go back down to where he was, or if he go down even further, and he lands on neutralized. So he will no longer be a 91 overall. Those boosts will go away. It will basically be as if he never took the PEDs to begin with, but it's not going to hurt him in the long haul either, unlike Cedar Rafaela and Roman Anthony in Boston. We only have one more division to go over, that being the National League West. We will start, of course, at the top and work our way down. The Los Angeles Dodgers, they're the favorite for the World Series. I feel like it's only right that we pick the guy who's playing the best for them. It might not entirely be who you would expect. It's not Ronald Acuna, who's been solid for them so far. It's not Shohei Ohtani either. It's actually Mookie Betts, whose 8.3 WAR leads all players across Major League Baseball, more than 1 ahead of second place in the NL. Alex Bregman is right behind him in the American League, but Bregman is out for the rest of the year. So Mookie Betts should lead the way in WAR. He lands on Contact Kid, plus 20 contact, minus 20 power. Now his contact is going to go up to 99, so I think the fair way to do this is, for instance, his contact against lefties was already a 90, so it only went up 9. So we're going to push his power versus lefties down only by 9 rather than 20. I don't want to necessarily give him a disadvantage for this. The Arizona Diamondbacks feel like a sleeping giant in the National League, and even though the Dodgers are getting the attention, Arizona's a really good team as well. They're currently tied with the Marlins for the number 1 wild card spot. So I wanted to pick a guy for them who's been underrated, and I think Geraldo Perdomo is a good choice. He's hit above 300 all 3 seasons, wore above 7 last year, probably will not get it that high this year, but he's been really, really good, and he lands on light work. +1 for every attribute. Nothing spectacular, but he'll gladly take that. He's an 87. The Padres are kind of starting to become a little bit desperate. Their chances of making the playoffs are slim, although the door still feels open. The problem is their top 4 players are hurt, and their top 3 players are on the IL, likely to miss most, if not all, of the remainder of the year. So they're desperate for a guy like Manny Machado to figure things out. Now, his ratings are going down quite a bit, and although I'm a huge Manny Machado fan, I don't think we're going to push some of these back up in the offseason because he's been kind of mediocre. His WAR is barely even. So he lands on lineup upgrade. Keep him high in the lineup for the rest of the month. Now, since their entire roster is hurt, he's already very high up, so that doesn't really change anything. The San Francisco Giants, much like San Diego, are on the outside looking in. Unlike the Padres, I don't think the door is really open for a playoff spot, but they could use improvement from a guy like Ozzie Albies, who's been just very blah throughout this series. He lands on swinging for the fences, -20 contact, +20 power. It's helped Edgar Quero and Cal Raleigh, so we'll see if he gets similar luck. And then we finish off with the Colorado Rockies, who are not good. 50 and 87, likely staring down the barrel of yet another 100-loss season. So I figured it's only fitting that we pick the guy who's been probably the worst player on the roster. And I would say that has probably been one of the longest tenured players on this team in Kyle Freeland, who was actually really good last year, but this season it has been not pretty. He lands on power play, the same one that Noah Schultz landed on. His hits per 9 and his walks per 9, especially his walks per 9, is one of his better attributes, but they will go down by 20. Ks per 9 and home runs per 9 will go up. So now as we get set for the start of September, we do have some storylines to look out for. Edgar Quero still leading for the Rookie of the Year with Munetaka Murakami and Ricky Carlton behind him. Aside from bragging rights and it being cool that he wins a big-time award, if he does win the Rookie of the Year, we will likely get a prospect promotion incentive pick, which would be 31st overall. So basically a second first-round pick if Edgar Quero wins the Rookie of the Year. So fingers crossed he does. Let's start by going through this Atlanta series before making it into the month of September and September call-ups. We lose the first 2 games, the offense with a stinker in both of them. Noah Schultz, though, pitched pretty well with his rating changes. 5 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs, does get the loss. Here in the second game, Jairo Iriarte's numbers do not look great. 5 1/3 innings, he let up 4 runs. The thing is, Atlanta didn't score until the 6th. He threw 5 scoreless innings, and then it got away from him late. So he really didn't pitch that bad. They should not have kept him in as long as they did. Now on to September call-ups. We need 28 players on the roster. I hinted at it earlier, but we are going to bring up Ben Joyce, see what we can do for the final month of the year. Brandon Montgomery will come up as well. I wasn't really sure with him, but he's been playing really well as of recent. He has an average of 405 with an OPS nearing 1100 in his last 10 games. He's got like 4 or 5 multi-hit games in this stretch. So I think he's earned an opportunity back up in the majors for the final month of the year, even though he really struggled in the month plus that he was here. And then we're actually going to bring up a third player, Jacob Gonzalez. I've been planning all year to bring him up here in September. He was really good last year in AAA. He's been really good again. And we're going to send Nick Maton down to AAA. He will go through optional waivers, which I don't really care about. So we're going to play or lock Jacob Gonzalez's big league debut against the Atlanta Braves. Bailey Ober, the big fella, on the bump against Wilkeman Gonzalez. As we hop into this game, I do want to point out some things with the wheel real quick. Let me know what you guys preferred with the wheel. Did you like how we did it division by division, month by month? Did you like what I did last year, doing every team at the beginning? Or not giving every team a spin, because it is kind of a lot. There will be some changes to the wheel for season number 4. I think it's going to be better than it was last year, but it will be quite a bit different. You guys will have to see once we start year number 4. So here's Gonzalez's first career big league at bat in the bottom of the 3rd. 10th ranked prospect in the system. Atlanta leads this game 1-0. We haven't really been able to get any offense off of Bailey Ober or off of Atlanta in this series at all, as he chases the circle change and is already behind 0-2. Gonzalez, a first-round pick in the 2023 draft, hits lefty as he takes the circle change, and now we are 1-2, trying to battle back against Bailey Ober, who, of course, had a really bad start to the year, has gotten better since, but this trade kind of a flop for Atlanta. Popped into the outfield, it will be caught. I thought it had a chance to drop. Unfortunately, it does not, as Michael Harris is under it to make the play. Montgomery with a 2-run homer. Which Montgomery, though? Since Braden Montgomery is hitting right ahead of Jacob Gonzalez and there's a runner on base with nobody out, I would assume Braden Montgomery's the guy on base, meaning Colson Montgomery's the one who would have hit the home run. 1-2 into left center, caught by Michael Harris again, and there is Braden Montgomery heading back to first. So unfortunately for him, he was not the one with the dinger. Still 2-1, a pitching duel. We had a really good outing from Wilkham and Gonzalez. We'll look at his numbers in a little bit. Now against the lefty Dylan Lee. Pops up the first pitch of the AB into the air, and it is caught by Atlanta for the second out of the inning. Unfortunately, Gonzalez would only get 3 at-bats as we win this game 2-1. We avoid the sweep. Only scoring 4 runs in this series is not a great look, especially against an Atlanta team who isn't all that good anymore. But at least we won this last game. Good to see Jacob Gonzalez make his big league debut, even though he was not particularly impressive. There were not a lot of guys who were impressive, but Colson Montgomery had the 2-run homer. He also had a pair of walks as well. The other standout offensively was Edgar Caro, who had 3 hits and got caught stealing twice. Why are you running? As for Wilkham and Gonzalez, best big league game of his career. 6 innings, 6 Ks, only allowing 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 run. He was awesome. Great to see him playing well. Hopefully he has a good month of September. Tries to give himself a better opportunity to make the rotation to start next season. Let's go through this set now against the Royals. We trail in this game 4-2 here in the bottom of the 8th. The bases are loaded though, so hold on, you never know. Kyle Teel is up, belts this one into center. This could score a pair. Escobedo rounds third, heads home. He's safe. Emmanuel Rivera is safe at third. 2-run single for Kyle Teel, who's now wearing his number 8, like in real life, and this game is tied at 4. He had to snatch that number 8 off of Dominic Canzone's back as it's a wild pitch. Both runners go, and Rivera's out at the plate! The aggressive base running for the White Sox ultimately backfires. If nothing else, we do get Kyle Teel over to second, I guess. Full count for Cato. He draws a walk. Good at bat, despite the wild pitch and the bad base running, which obviously was not really in his control. Carlos Hernandez now into the bullpen, replacing the flame-throwing Lucas Erceg, who was unable to obviously hold on to the lead for the Royals, and now Hernandez has to hold on to the tie. We're going to bring in Cody Hosey off the bench. 294 average. He's been raking as of recent, replacing Luis Angel Acuna as he goes down on the slider. Nothing for Hosey here in the bottom of the 8th. We do tie the game, though, with the single by Kyle Teel. Let's see if we can potentially walk it off, perhaps, as we will travel into the bottom half of the 10th. Ryan McMahon and Blake Mitchell both drive in runs for the Royals, so they lead at 6-4. We've got 2 runners on base, and look who's back up to bat. Kyle Teel, who drove in 2 runs in the 8th. You know, we could use a couple more runs here in the 10th. I'm just saying. 2-0 for Teel. This one is popped into the air. I don't think he's going to bring home 2 with this one, as it is caught for the second out of the inning. Unfortunately, lightning does not strike twice in this instance, as that'll bring us down to the bottom of the order. Douglas Cato against the All-Star Miguel Lozano. First pitch up the middle, going to be a close play. Bobby Witt Jr. sends it over to second in time, and the Royals take the first of 3 by the final score of 6-4. At least the offense played better than we did against Atlanta. We matched our run total here in one game, but the pitching was not so good. Blake Mitchell leads the way for the Royals, 3 for 4, drives in 3, including his 15th homer of the year. 7 scoreless for Ranger Suarez, although it was pissed away in the 8th by Jose Leclerc. As for us, Teel and Waldo each drove in a pair of runs. Drew Thorpe was pretty solid. Let's go into this next game here against the Royals, as Waldo Escobedo is having himself a game. 2 for 4. He's recorded 7 bases with a homer and a triple, and he is the one up here in the bottom of the 10th with 1 away. Caro, the runner at second base. Lozano looking for the save again, as this one is weakly hit on the ground. Bobby Witt Jr. charges after it, makes the throw over to Jack Caglione at first for the second out of the inning. So now the game comes down to Braden Montgomery. We're going to bring the youngster in off the bench. I know his numbers aren't spectacular, but I believe in him in this spot. We're going to choose him over Emmanuel Rivera, as Beaumont is behind in the count 0-1. This one is chopped over to third. Play is made. Throw to first is in time from Ryan McMahon. And the Royals win the second game of this series much like the first. 4-3 in 10 innings. We once again were not able to score in the bottom half of the 10th, and that ends up being the difference. Willie Abreu with a pinch hit, 2-run homer in the 8th leads the way for the Royals. It's been a very pedestrian start to the month offensively. We haven't really scored runs in bunches. We're not hitting for a ton of power, although today we had 2 homers. Oswaldo with his 3rd, Luis Robert with his 35th, and Hagen Smith had a pretty good start. 5 innings, only allowing 2 hits and 1 run. Bullpen was not so good, though. So we're going to player lock this last game again with Jacob Gonzalez, actually, because I want to get his first hit. He hasn't played in the last 2 games because the Royals started Ranger Suarez and Daniel Lynch, both of whom are lefties. But I want to get hit number 1 at least with Gonzalez, so we'll play this last game as we take a look at Noah Schultz making his second start with his ratings changed. Over his last 3 outings, he's been really solid. ERA at 1.53. WHIP is a bit high, so the ERA is certainly not sustainable, but he's allowing runs. That's the most important thing as a pitcher, run prevention. Douglas Cato with a solo shot to get us started, although the Royals would respond with an RBI single for Ryan McMahon. Gonzalez up here against Kyle Wright, the former Atlanta Brave, behind in the count 0-1. Gonzalez on the mound over to second. Whip behind the back, corner, jumping play, in time! Oh my goodness, what a play by the Royals. Nothing you can do there but tip your cap on this 6-4-3 double play. That one's going on SportsCenter. Let's look at this again. So Bobby Witt Jr. sends it behind the back, a little bit too high for Horner, who jumps, makes the catch, and still perfectly places the throw for Jack Caglione. We do have the lead. Emmanuel Rivera with a RBI single, so it's 2-1 here in the 4th, and we've got runners on the corners. Big spot for Gonzalez to potentially drive in a run. How about 3? Into right. It is just foul. Not even off by 4 feet. We nearly had Gonzalez's first career big league bomb. Now 2-2 up the middle. Charging play for Bobby Witt. Throw to first. Not in time. An infield hit. First career big league hit and RBI for Jacob Gonzalez. It's an infield single that brings home a run, and that'll make it a 3-1 ball game. Maybe wasn't the sexiest of hits, but it gets the job done as Brady Montgomery retrieves that baseball. Montgomery and Gonzalez have spent a lot of time on the same team through the minor leagues together. Into the 7th, Gonzalez 1-2, gets a piece of it into right center. This ball will one-hop off the wall. The coach is saying go 3. We're going back to second now, and Gonzalez is out. Now, unfortunately, I never told the controller to go back to second. I was listening to Coach trying to leg out a triple. I don't know why we went back to second, because I don't think I pushed the analog stick that way. It's not going to matter, though. We do win the game 3-1. Really strong showing for Jacob Gonzalez. Instead of getting his first career hit, we get his first 2, including a double and an RBI, helping us win the game 3-1 with another really good start from Noah Schultz. So far, the ratings change has surprisingly helped him. Cato with the leadoff homer, the only long ball for us. Schultz, 6 innings, 6 hits, only 2 walks, and only 3 strikeouts. I feel like the ratings change hasn't really made much of an impact. Walks are still low, but the strikeouts are low as well. After that, we would take 1 of 3 in Baltimore. We lost the first game 8-1. Yuck. Edgar Quero homered. Jairo Uriarte did not pitch well. The second game, we lost 4-2. Wilkerman Gonzalez was good again. He's been very impressive in September. And then the last one, we won 9-4. A lot of home runs here. Rivera, Quero, and Montgomery. Drew Thorpe, 8 innings of 1-run ball. His ERA down to 2.42. So I stop us in front of this series against the Nationals because our playoff chances are on the line. The magic number is 2. With the Tigers and the Mariners both tied as the 3rd wild card, we'll see how much longer we can stay mathematically in it. Through the first game, we win 9-2 against maybe the worst team in baseball. Emmanuel Rivera homers. He drives in 3, as does Montgomery. Hagen Smith with the best game of his career. 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs allowed. The magic number is now 1. However, with the Mariners winning. So we need to win out, and we need some combination of the Orioles, the Mariners, the Tigers, and the Yankees to lose out. Our chances are slim, but never say never. So that brings us into Game 2 here at Nationals Park against Washington. We get to pitch with Noah Schultz, which is pretty cool. I didn't necessarily plan on it today, but that's just kind of how the schedule fell. As we take a look at both lineups and we take a look at Cody Hosey getting the start at first base today, I want to get him on the field. It's challenging to do so with Brian Ramos hoarding third base. And since we have two catchers, usually the DH spot is taken. So we're going to try Hosey at first base. It's not a position he can play. So far, he's held up well there, however. So we'll see how it goes. Luis Garcia, the other Luis Garcia on the mound for the Nationals, 2-15, 6.54 ERA, 1.72 WHIP. That is pretty stinky. He might be the worst qualified pitcher in the entire league. Ramos on the ground, charging after it is Nasim Nunez who makes the throw. On the play, though, at third, Ernie Clement hurt his knee as he was diving for the ball. He'll be taken out of the game, replaced by Andres Chaparro. That'll bring us to the bottom of the first, where we will take a look at Noah Schultz. We'll see if he's able to fare as well as Higgins Smith did in the win yesterday. As much as I want to give Smith a ton of credit, and I mean we should, he pitched the best game of his career, it is against the Washington Nationals, who are quite bad. They have maybe two good players in this lineup. Jacob Young goes down on the fastball. Good start here for Noah Schultz, getting him on the outside part away from the strike zone. Nasim Nunez now for the Nats. Behind 1-2, he goes down on the changeup. No base runners for either side here in the first as we travel into the top of the second. Edgar Caro looks to change that, and he does, as he draws a walk. Productive 5-pitch at bat, where he did not swing the stick once. One away now for Cody Hosey, getting the start at first base in this one. Hosey sends this one into the opposite field. That goes for a hit into right. And so now we've got two runners aboard and a chance to potentially add some early runs. Luis Garcia has allowed multiple runs in each of his last 9 starts. So I would like to think we would not be the team who breaks that streak. 1-2 for Braden Montgomery. This one gets by the glove of the first baseman, Kyle Manzardo. We're going to hold Caro at third. Probably the right decision in hindsight. And the bases are now loaded. That'll bring up Oswaldo Escobedo, who's a really good clutch hitter. Braden Montgomery is one of our better clutch guys, not quite like Waldo, though, who gets a piece of it into center. Jacob Young at the track makes the play. We're going to send Caro. They're going to send the throw over to third. Hosey is out of there. Double play. Caro does not score, and the White Sox leave him loaded. How did we not get a run there? That'll bring us to the bottom of the second. Manzardo with a liner to first. Good play by Hosey. Continuing to play well here at first base. We might really try to develop him at first in the offseason. Make that a position he can play next year. As Kibert Ruiz goes down on the fastball. 6 up, 6 down. Perfect start for Noah Schultz. He's looked even better than Higgins Smith so far. That'll bring us into the third. Ramos back up. Swings at a pitch he should not have. The bat went farther than the ball there. That's a problem. What's also a problem is we have 0 runs so far against probably the worst starting pitcher in the entire league. Well, offense has got to wake up because we're getting a gem so far from Noah Schultz. The Nationals finally get their first base runner. It's Andres Chaparro, who of course didn't even start the game. He came in as an injury replacement, but he taps a 64-mile-an-hour single into left. Robert Hassel goes down on the slider. Little lefty-on-lefty crime. Couple of first-round picks battling it out. That'll now bring up Ryan Vilade for Washington, and he will draw a walk. Schultz starting to allow a couple base runners, looking a little more sloppy. 2 on, 1 away, top of the order due up. It's Jacob Young, who chases the outside fastball again, just like he did in the first at-bat. 2-2 for Nasim Nunez. He sends it into left. Cato's slow to get to it, but he does. It's nice getting 2 runners on base. The problem is when Jacob Young and Nasim Nunez, 2 negative hitters, are the first 2 batters in the order. That's kind of a problem. What's also a problem has been this offense for us. Luis Robert goes down on the fastball. That'll bring up Edgar Caro, who belts it back up the middle for a single. Caro reaches base for a second time today. At least he's looked pretty good so far. I can't say the same for most of the other goofballs on this team. Kyle Teal now up for the White Sox, and this one is sent into the opposite field, likely for extra bases. It will go to the wall as James Wood catches up, but not before Kyle Teal strolls into second base with a double. Caro will hold up at third, and we've got a pair of runners in scoring position with only 1 away. This is our chance to do some damage. 3-1 here for Cody Hosey, and he will draw a walk. Second time he's reached base today, and here we go again. The bases are loaded. Let's just not do what we did last time, please. 3-1 here for Braden Montgomery. Base hit his first time up. Up the middle. Base hit into center. Caro scores. Teal looks to join. Hosey over to third. Everybody's safe, and it's 2-0. I'll be honest, when that ball came off of Montgomery's back, I thought he didn't hit it well enough for a single. I thought it was going to be a double play. And to be honest, he probably shouldn't have swung at it. 3-1, little outside the zone. That's not where you're looking to protect. But he drives in two. Hard to be too upset with him there. Escobedo on the ground. Could be a double play, but Chaparro bobbles it. And Escobedo is safe at first. They're going to rule that a fielder's choice, not an error, which kind of surprises me. I think it should have been an error. But it does bring home Cody Hosey, and that'll make it 3-0. 2 away for Daniel Schneemann. Up the middle, single into center. This is the offense I had been waiting to see. We didn't get it through the first 3 innings. But now everybody, especially the back part of the order, is starting to come alive. The 1-2-3 hitters so far are 0 for 6. Can Douglas Cato change that here? No. He goes down on the sinker. Rough inning, though, for Luis Garcia as he allows 3 from the White Sox. A 3-0 lead going into the bottom of the 4th. We'll see if the Nationals can look to get some runs across, of course, with Chicago's postseason hopes on the line. If we win, our chances will go from 0.1 all the way up to about 0.1%. As James Wood hits it into left, since he's fast, he's going to make it over to second. Douglas Cato was lollygagging out there, and it wasn't even a good throw. 37th double of the year for James Wood, who's gotten better and better each season of his career. Jose Tena will look to drive him in, and he should. This one is hit well into center. Lou Bob makes the play. The throw to the plate is a good one, but it is not in time. James Wood scores off the sacrifice, and the Nationals are on the board as it is now 3-1. That'll bring up Keibert Ruiz as this one goes off of Schultz's foot. Schultz runs over to it. Throw to first is way airmailed above the glove of Hosey, and Ruiz makes it to second. So it's a single for Ruiz and then a throwing error by Noah Schultz. And the Nationals have a runner in scoring position. That'll bring up Andres Chaparro, the 2-2. This one hit well into right. Montgomery cannot make the play. Looks like he blocked the ball from going any further. It is an RBI single, and that'll make it 3-2. It will be an earned run against Schultz. On one hand, I think it's a little unfair because it was off of an error. But on the other hand, Noah Schultz was the one with the error. He's the reason why Ruiz made it up to second to begin with. So I guess it kind of is right. Grounder over to first. Hosey makes the play. So the White Sox get 3 here in the 4th. The Nationals get 2 back. And all of a sudden, we've got a ball game. Cade Cavalli out of the pen for the Nats here in the 5th. Former first rounder has a 4.74 ERA this year. Brian Ramos splits the first and second baseman. Leads off the inning with a single. Ramos barely hitting above 200. Good to see him getting on base, though, as that will bring up Edgar Quero, who's reached in each of his first opportunities up. This one is crushed. Perfect over to second for a 4-6-3 double play. Can't even get mad at Edgar. That was 112 off the bat. A perfect ground out. That is not just a ground out, but a double play. That is extremely unlucky. Bottom of the 5th, Schultz will stay in the game against Ryan Vilade, who goes down on the fastball. Schultz looking to recover after allowing a pair of runs, partly because of his pitching and partly because of his defense. Jacob Young up the middle. Escobedo looks to make the play. He cannot. Jacob Young is one of the fastest guys in the league. He is not the guy you want to have on base, especially with James Wood up, as that will go for ball 4. 2 on, 2 away. Big opportunity here for Kyle Manzardo, acquired in the Mackenzie Gore trade this offseason, a deal that's ended up being a win for the Nationals, but he goes down on the strikeout. 5 innings, 2 earned for Noah Schultz. His day likely done. Not his best start, but certainly far from his worst. He was great early, not as good down the stretch, but overall, pretty solid showing for the big lefty. That'll bring us into the 6th. White Sox looking to add to their 1-run lead. Kyle Teal up the middle, his second hit of the ball game. A leadoff single into center field. And Chicago opens up the inning with a runner aboard. That'll bring up Cody Hosey, looking to reach base for a 3rd time. He will not. Goes down on the high fastball. Good pitch there by Cavalli. Brady Montgomery next for Chicago, up 2-1. This one is hit well into the left center gap. Should go for extra bases. Quick cutoff by Jacob Young, likely saving a run, but it is a double for Brady Montgomery, who's now 3 for 3 in this game. He is hitting the ball well this afternoon. Runners in scoring position for Escobedo, who has struggled today. This one hit high into the air, into right. It will be caught. We'll try to send the runner Teal off to sacrifice, and he is safe, as is Montgomery at third. A successful sacrifice for Escobedo, who does not have a hit today, but he's driven in 2 runs. Daniel Schneemann gets a piece of it into right center. This one will one-hop off the wall. It's 5-2 as Brady Montgomery scores walking backwards, basically. So it's an RBI double for Daniel Schneemann, and Chicago adds to the lead. We'll go bottom 6. Inole Paredes in for the White Sox. He's quietly had a really good year. Whip is barely above 1. ERA at 3.77. Doesn't really reflect his whip. So I guess he hasn't really been clutch, but he's keeping guys off base as Chaparro goes down. 1, 2, 3 inning for Inole Paredes, and that will bring us into the 7th. A 3-run lead for the White Sox. Into the game for the Nationals is another former first-rounder. It's Jackson Rutledge, his 7th appearance of the year. 4.91 ERA on the season for him so far. He'll face off against Edgar Caro, who's ahead of the count 3-1. And Caro gets a piece of it into right center. At the track, at the wall, it is off the wall. Caro into second with a double. He reaches base for a 3rd time this afternoon. And the White Sox got a runner in scoring position, his 24th of the year. Kyle Teal now looking for hit number 3. This one is hit into center. Young at the track. He will make the grab. Good play there by Jacob Young, who's played terrific defense today. Won a Gold Glove last year, and he is overall one of the most impactful defensive players in baseball. His offensive numbers have been laughably bad in this series. A little better this year, but still pretty horrific. Yet he still gets positive WARs because he's so good on defense. Penn Murphy out of the pen now for the White Sox here in the bottom of the 7th. He'll face off against Robert Hassel III to lead off the inning, one of the many pieces of the Juan Soto trade with San Diego. That one nearly gets Murphy back in the head. Lucky he's able to get out of the way. It's a leadoff single, though, for Hassel, who starts the inning aboard here for the Nationals. Ryan Vilade now up for Washington. This one will get him. It's a sinker on the low inside part of the zone. Good pitch there by Murphy for the first out of the frame. Jacob Young, 1-2. Swing and miss on the sweeper. That ball bounced off the back wall super hard. It'll let the runner go over to second base. Jacob Young has not been very good offensively, though. 3 strikeouts, all on pitches well outside. And then Nasim Nunez grounds out to second. Escobedo makes the play. Murphy gets us through the 7th as it remains 5-2. Into the 8th, another pitching change for the Nationals. They'll go with the lefty, Adrian Morejon, who's been one of the few good players on this team. 3.34 ERA in 89 innings. Cody Hosey leads off the 8th. He hits it well into right. Vilade will not make the diving play. It goes all the way to the wall. Hosey will hold at second, a leadoff double. The middle of this order has been super good for us. Caro's reached base 3 times, Teal twice, Hosey 3 times. Montgomery has 3 hits, looking for a 4th, and he will not get it because instead he draws a walk. They don't want to pitch to him. So Montgomery reaches now for a perfect 4th time. We're going to keep Escobedo in the game. I thought about bringing in a pinch hitter. Even though he's driven in 2 runs today, he's given us nothing on offense. And he goes down on the slider. I kept him in because he's really good in clutch spots. He's really good against lefties, but not there. Full count for Daniel Schneemann. This one is hit well into left. James Wood at the track, at the wall. He cannot make the play. We are going to bring in just one. It's an RBI double. Hosey to the plate. Daniel Schneemann now with 3 hits himself in this game. So from there, they will intentionally walk Douglas Cato to load the bases. We're going to bring in a pinch hitter for Brian Ramos. It's Luis Angel Acuna. Acuna has not been much better than Ramos this year, but I wanted to get a fresh face in there with Ramos 0 for 4. This one is hit well into right field. Vilade after it. He will not make the play. All the runners are jambled up together, though, as Montgomery scores. Schneemann to the plate, being chased by Cato. Both runners are safe. Acuna at third. It's a bases-clearing 3-run triple. Not all's fun and games, though. Douglas Cato injured his wrist as he slid at the plate, and they could be looking at a long-term stay on the injured list. Nonetheless, we drive in 3 runs there to make it a 9-2 lead. The White Sox have broken the door open on this game. So Morejon will be yanked after allowing the bases-clearing triple by the pinch hitter Luis Angel Acuna. As the Nationals dig back into the bullpen again, it'll be Jose A. Ferrer. The lefty's had a good year, a 3.07 ERA. Again, one of the few bright spots for this team. We'll see if Luis Robert can look to bring in the runner. He's been quiet today, 0 for 4, but he belts this one into the opposite field. That is a fair ball. Lou Bob rounding first, heads to second. He is safe with a double, and it is 10-2. A 5 spot here in the 8th, and with only 1 out, supposedly we're not done. 2 away for Teal. This one is belted up the middle. Nunez makes the play. Overall, a good job by Jose A. Ferrer to only allow the 1 run at third. Problem is this game is just about out of reach for the Nationals. It's 10-2. I do want to get a look at Ben Joyce, though. He was already getting loose, so we're going to have him come in here in the bottom of the 8th. His second appearance as a White Sox. Had a game against the Orioles where he went 3 1/3 scoreless. I don't know why he went 3+ innings, but he looked really good. He only allowed 1 base runner. 102 on the fastball gets Jose Tena. That's a big reason why we traded for him. He can sling it. We'll fast forward to the bottom of the 9th. Hayden Wesneski was already warming up, so I figured we'll bring him in here. 2.59 ERA in 111 innings. That is really good. He's been one of our best players this year. Jacob Young up for the Nats. The 2-2 chases an outside pitch. How fitting. It does go for a hit, though. That will score a run. And so that'll make it 10-3. Bring out your rally caps, kids. This one might not be over. James Wood now, the runner at first and second. Belts it into left. Wood reaches base for a 4th consecutive time as it's now 10-4. The Nationals, hold on, they might be giving us a battle. Kyle Manzardo up for the Nats. Count is full, and he will draw a walk. The bases are loaded. Hayden Wesneski is not pitching well, so we are going to take him out of the game. He'll be replaced by John Curtis, our new closer. He's only 7 of 14 in save ops, but overall he hasn't been too bad this year, mostly, of course, with Arizona. 1-2 for the talented young second baseman, Jose Tena. And he checks his swing. Umpire says he went around on the fastball, and that will do it. 10-4 win for the White Sox. I feel like every game we've played recently has been a blowout. We've won like an even amount compared to what we've lost, so it's not necessarily the sliders being uneven towards one team or the other. But it feels like every game we play, one team's killing the other. We're not getting any close games. Nonetheless, I can't say I am too upset with this result, seeing the offense hit the ball well. We didn't really hit for power, though. No home runs. It was more so about the small ball. We didn't even hit the ball that hard. I think the hardest exit velo we had was the double play by Edgar Quero back in the 5th inning, ironically. We had a few guys really stand out, particularly the middle of the order was great. Quero had 2 hits and a walk. Teal had 2 hits. Hosey had 2 hits and a walk. Montgomery had 3 hits and a walk. Schneemann had 3 hits, drove in a pair. He's the player of the game. And then Acuna with the 3-run triple to essentially ice the game. Noah Schultz was pretty solid. Bullpen was good other than Hayden Wesneski. So a good win to keep our playoff hopes alive at least a little bit longer. Douglas Cato, though, fractured his wrist, out for 1 to 2 months. His season will be over. So we're going to have to replace him on the roster. I thought about Corey Julks because he is still balling in AAA. He has not cooled off in the slightest. I kind of want to keep him in AAA, though, for the playoff run. I feel like they could use him. So we're going to bring up Claudio Rubio, whose numbers are a lot better in the majors, 935 OPS compared to AAA, where it's lower than 700. So Rubio will spend likely the rest of the year on the big league team. And from there, we've just got to hope our playoff chances stay alive a little bit longer. With our win here against the Nationals, we still have a fighting chance. In the AL playoff picture, the magic number to eliminate us is still 1. Now, unfortunately for us, we would lose this last game against the Nationals, 7-2, despite the fact that they had 3 errors, oddly enough. No playoffs for us this year. Jairo Uriarte, again, pitched kind of well. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. They kept him out there for the 6th, and he lets up 2 more. Why are they keeping him out there? We know he cannot go longer than 5 innings. So with that, the season is over, and our chances finishing 500 or above are also over. We have 4 more series to go as the minor league season's near a close as well. Both the AA and AAA teams are headed for the playoffs. We'll talk about those a little bit towards the end. But for the big league team, our final home stretch is against the Twins and the Phillies, and then we head on the road against the Twins and Toronto. Luis Robert has a 10-game hitting streak to keep alive here in a tie game against Minnesota. We'll see if we can get the job done here with Lou Bob, who's hitting the ball really well here in the second half of the year. Behind 1-2, swing and a miss on the splitter. Johan Duran had him fishing. What a pitch. We would win the game, though. 4-3, walk-off in the 10th. They're not going to show us how we got it. I think it was Jacob Gonzalez who might have done something. Gonzalez had a good game. 2 hits, home run. That is his 2nd, while Edgar Caro homered for the 29th time. Thorpe pitched well, but he did not make it out of the 5th inning because he suffered a concussion. So we're going to put him on the 15-day IL, shutting him down for the remainder of the year. It's been a really strong season for Thorpe, aside from the injuries. He did miss around the 3rd of the year, but when he was healthy, he was really good. 2.41 ERA, the same as year 1. 1.17 whip, WAR at 2.3. We are lucky to have this guy as our ace, especially as of recent. I mean, he kind of had the bad game against the Yankees, but otherwise, we have not had many bad performances from him lately. Jagger Haynes will take his spot in the rotation for the rest of the year. So the pitching rotation is really young, with a lot of guys looking to prove themselves, with Gonzalez, Haynes, and Hayden Wisniewski taking Iriarte's spot. There's a part of me that still wants to believe in him because he had a 1.8 ERA in AAA this year as a starter. He's had some solid outings, but he can't go longer than 5 innings. As for Hayden Wisniewski, I want to give him an opportunity in the rotation because he's pitched so well this year. He had a couple starts last year, and they went not very good. But now that we're out of the playoffs, I feel like we can experiment a little bit. So after taking 1 of 3 against the Phillies, Luis Robert has 2 homers in this one against the Phillies, as does Oswaldo Escobedo, for what it's worth. Lou Bob now at 38 on the year. I was worried he was not going to get to 40 again. He should get there with 9 or 10 games left. No gimme, though. Zach Wheeler is pitching for some reason. Full count, draws a walk. They don't want to pitch to him, and I don't blame them. I was hoping to back out of the player lock so we could use their Escobedo, but unfortunately they're not going to let us. It looks like Oswaldo did not hit another home run, so both him and Lou Bob stay at 2 as the Sox win this game 9-5 in the final game with the City Connects this season. 4 home runs, Lou Bob leading the way, along with Escobedo, who drove in 5 runs. He had a really good showing in this one. Escobedo's shown a lot more power since we called him up at the start of August compared to what he was doing earlier in the year. Still has a lot to work on, but I do feel confident for Escobedo going into next year. Christopher Sanchez really struggled. He did not make it out of the 3rd inning. Yikes. As for us, Noah Schultz was not particularly good himself, but the bullpen was. 3-2 here in this last game against the Phillies. We ended up getting smacked in the second game, losing 8-2 with Hayden Wisniewski starting. Kyle Teal's available off the bench, so we're going to bring him in here in the bottom of the 9th against Orion Kerkering looking for the save. Tying run aboard, 2-2, good take. That pitch might have hit the edge of the strike zone. Maybe could have been called strike 3, but hey, we're going to get the call. I'm not complaining. Count is now full for KT, the 3-2. Got him looking on the high sweeper. You're going to give us the last pitch, but not that one. Come on. And we'll bring up Cody Hosey. The 0-1 hits it well into center, but it'll go right into the glove of Brandon Marsh. The Phillies win this game and this series. They need all the wins they can get. They should be able to win the NL East over the Marlins, but it's not a gimme. So to take 2 of 3 against us, they will certainly take it. Not only trying to win the division, but also chase for seeding. The Dodgers are probably going to get the number 1 seed, but I'm sure they would like to get the number 2 seed, which they'll likely land if they win the NL East over Miami. Really solid start from Andrew Abbott. 6 innings, 2 earned. The offense didn't really play all that well for us. Brian Ramos had a couple of walks, I guess. Wilkerman Gonzalez was all right. He wasn't great. Wasn't bad either. So we're now 70 and 86. I do want to look at how Hayden Wesneski did here in his start. 5 innings, 3 earned. Not horrible. Most of the runs came from the bullpen. We also lost this game 6-9. Not nice in this case. Hagen Smith was pretty bleh. So with that, we've got 6 games to go. 3 in Minnesota, 3 in Toronto. Both teams have worse records than us. The minor league regular season is done. 93 and 57 for the Knights, while the Barons go 38 and 31 in the second half of the season. Both teams make the minor league postseason, and the Barons, for what it's worth, they won the Southern League North in the first and second half of the year, so they'll get a first-round bye, while the AAA team is set to face off against the Nashville Sounds, while we're facing off against Minnesota. So we'll talk about that AAA playoff series briefly. Here against Minnesota in the final week of the year, we lead the first game 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth. Emmanuel Rodriguez, the reigning Rookie of the Year, up for the Twins. He's having a solid year, but definitely a sophomore slump as it's on the ground. Montgomery, Gonzalez, Rivera, double play! 6-4-3. Now we just look to turn the final out as John Curtis looks for the save against Marcell Ozuna. The 0-2, Ozuna swinging a miss on the slider. Ozuna from the Braves, if you know, you know, is the one who loses it here for the Twins as the White Sox take this game 3-2, giving us our 71st win of the year. Jagger Haynes with the best outing of his big league career. 7 innings, 1 earned. He was awesome. Ramos, the only source of runs for us, a 3-run shot in the top of the 7th. Not much going here for Minnesota at the plate despite a solid outing from Joe Ryan. Unfortunately, the AAA team loses in 3 games, though. In the deciding third game, Alexis Cosmo did not pitch very well. 4 runs in 5 innings, not great. I will point out that Corey Julks continued to mash the cover off the ball in all 3 of these games. Who's surprised? In Game 2, he had 3 hits and a homer, but Emiliano Teodo really struggled. The first game we won with a good start on the mound from Owen White, 6 scoreless. So the season for the Charlotte Knights comes to a close while we split the next 2 games against Minnesota. Homers for Colson Montgomery and Edgar Caro. For Edgar, that is his 30th of the year. Just the 5th rookie catcher ever with 30 home runs in a season, and the first to do it since Mike Piazza over 30 years ago. Whatever happened to that guy? I wonder if he ended up being pretty good. As for Hagen Smith, 5 2/3 innings, only allowing 1 run in his final start of the year. He's pitched really well here in the month of September. Certainly some reason to be optimistic going into next year after a slightly disappointing season. Noah Schultz in his final start of the year was pretty good as well. 6 innings, 2 earned. He did pretty good in September with the ratings change. 3 more games to go on the road in Toronto against the Blue Jays, looking to avoid a 100-loss season, just like us at the end of last year when we had the walk-off home run in Game 162 by Braden Montgomery. So that brings us to Game 162 after splitting the first 2 games. Edgar Caro playing really well, 3 for 4 with a homer. He also homered in the previous game, so he's now at 32 on this season. A final encore for a likely Rookie of the Year campaign. We're going to bring in Luis Robert off the bench with 2 runners on, down by 1. Lou Bob sits at 39 home runs this year, trying to get him to 40 as it's a wild pitch from Giants franchise legend Yariel Rodriguez. That'll advance both runners. And with there being an open base at first, they will intentionally walk Luis Robert. Boo, that's lame. They're not going to give him a chance for 40. Base is loaded here for Colson Montgomery. Rips the first pitch into left, where that one will be caught by Anthony Santander. We'll look to send home Emmanuel Rivera. He is safe. A successful sacrifice, and that will tie the game up at 3. Another pitching change for Toronto. They will bring in Brett DeGoose. I hope that's how you say his name because that's funny. 5.03 ERA. He has not been particularly good this year. 2 on, 2 away for Braden Montgomery, who played really well the first couple of weeks of the month. Has kind of quieted down since, but he belts it into center for a hit. Edgar Caro rounding third, heads for the plate. He is safe. An RBI single for Braden Montgomery, and the White Sox take the lead 4-3. That'll bring up Luis Angel Acuna, who's ahead in the count 2-0 with 2 away. This one back up the middle. It's 5-3 as Chicago brings home Luis Robert. So now the lead is up to 2 for the Sox. Daniel Schneemann up for Chicago. This one into the gap could score both runners. with Luis Angel Acuna's speed as Brady Montgomery is safe at the plate. Acuna looks to score from first. He does. 2-run double for Daniel Schneemann, and that'll make it 7-3. A 5 spot here in the 8th for Chicago. The Blue Jays will go to their third different pitcher. It's Tommy Nance. 5.33 ERA on the season. Back to the top of the order. It's Oswaldo Escobedo, who sends this one over to short. It's bobbled, and the play will not be made. And an error by Miles Straw, keeping the inning alive. Toronto cannot get anything to go their way here in this 8th inning. Runners on the corners now for Cody Hosey, the 1-0. This one up the middle. Straw will send it over to first. Not another error, as that one is in time. It remains 7-3. Big inning, though, for the White Sox as they score 5. So we're going to go into the 9th. I figured I'd play the final inning, get one more at bat with our 2 All-Stars. Edgar Quero's final AB in what has been a historic rookie season, likely to end with a Rookie of the Year. They don't want to pitch to him. He draws a walk, reaches base for a 4th time today. I figured we got to play with Luis Robert, go for home run number 40. He hit exactly 40 last year. They're not going to intentionally walk him again, as this does go up the middle for a hit. It's not a home run, but it is a good way to end his season. So now we've got 2 runners on base, looking to ice the game for good, as that will bring up Colson Montgomery. He's had a kind of a rough last couple of months. Still obviously a strong year for him, as this one is hit well deep into left field. Santander at the wall. It is gone! The icing on the cake for game 162. I don't think we've homered yet in today's episode. I don't think we've allowed one either. There have been no homers until now, finally. 18th of the year for Colson Montgomery. A great end to game 162, at least for the offense, because John Curtis still has to finish off the job. So I was planning on only showing the last out, but look at this play at second. Oswaldo Escobedo with the grab off of the grounder by Owen Casey. Escobedo has had a rough year defensively, but that is a highlight to finish it off. 1-2 for Cam Collier on the ground at first. Rivera makes the play, and that'll do it for season number 3. The White Sox win this game by the final score of 10-3, scoring 8 runs over the last 2 innings, finishing off the season with a record of 74-88, an 11-win increase from last year. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, I was expecting this team to take a leap. We did that. We're no longer a bottom feeder. And as we go into this offseason, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the offseason episode, but hopefully we're going to be allowed to spend some money, and hopefully there are playoff aspirations next year. Number of players stood out here. Edgar Quero, 3 hits and a walk. He stood out not just in this game, but obviously in the season overall. As we look at the other 2 games in this series, the 10-3 win was not our only double-digit outburst. We won the first game 11-4. We did lose this second game, although Quero homered again. Gonzalez only lasted 1 inning before getting injured. Nothing major, but we took him out to be precautionary. And then 11-4 in the first game. With 6 home runs as a team, Claudio Rubio, Luis Robert, 2 for Brian Ramos, Kyle Teal, and Brady Montgomery. Hayden Wesneski's second start was very similar to his first start. 5 innings, 3 runs. Not great, not horrible. We'll certainly consider the idea of converting him into a starter. He could become a very key piece of this rotation with how well he pitched in the bullpen. So 74-88 is our final record. A lot better than it's been over the last few seasons, with 63 wins last season, 59 the year before, 41 in 2024. Yikes. So let's take a look at the stats for the year as we recap things. I would say the strength of this team was definitely the offense. We've got an identity with this team of guys who can hit for average and get on base. 11th in average, 14th in walks. That number seemed to go down at the end of the year. 11th in on base, 9th in slugging. On base went down as the year went on, but slugging went up, and we finished in 8th in home runs. We were one of only 6 or 7 teams with multiple 30 home run guys. Luis Robert led the way, 39 homers, 100 RBIs, 930 OPS. Kyle Teal had a strong year. His average did dip below 300, but he hit 17 home runs in only 90 games. The power appears to be drastically improved from him. Claudio Rubio and Douglas Cato gave us some good flashes, and Cato played over 100 games. I didn't know if he was capable of that. Edgar Caro obviously was the story of this season, though. We haven't simulated to the end of the year yet, so we don't know officially if he's won the Rookie of the Year or the Silver Slugger. I would expect he will, especially with a good finish. 2 homers to end the year, 32 on the year, 91 RBIs, nearly a 780 OPS. In terms of the others, Cody Hosey gave us some good moments. Colson Montgomery did as well. Oswaldo Escobedo, we're looking for more from him next year. Braden Montgomery as well. Brian Ramos was disappointing, but he still ended up with 18 home runs, a dynamic power hitter. 7.1 WAR for Luis Robert, second straight year above 7, fourth in the American League. I think he's finished top 5 in WAR in the AL 3 years in a row. I mean, that's as good as it gets. He's been one of the best players in baseball since the start of this series. Caro with 3.8, and then Emmanuel Rivera, 3.2. I'll be honest, I have no clue how his WAR was that high. I didn't notice it being that high throughout the year. Rivera's numbers on offense were pretty average, and defensively he regressed. Granted, he was a Gold Glove winner last year. The other surprise in terms of WAR is probably Braden Montgomery being as high as he is, given his offense wasn't great, but he's a very impactful player otherwise with his defense and his speed. If the offense can be more consistent, I think he could be really good. And then here are the negatives headlined by Brian Ramos. Corey Julks, well behind everybody else, but he was so good in the minors, it's hard to be too upset. The pitching, meanwhile, was the weakness. Tied for 22nd in ERA. We had a save to blown save ratio of 2-1, which is a lot better than it was last year when it was in the negatives. 22nd in hits allowed, 22nd in runs. We were 22nd in earned runs as well. So the defense not making as negative of an impact. That's good. 29th in home runs allowed. That is not good. Tied for 22nd in walks. We were 4th in strikeouts, though, which is kind of odd because I usually don't build my pitching staffs around strikeouts. So I feel like the fact that we're that high is good because we don't need to focus on Ks per 9, but instead, obviously, walks and hits per 9, home runs per 9 clearly as well. Noah Schultz and Hagen Smith, the only 2 guys to stay in the rotation all year. Both of them showed some good flashes. I think both of them, they're locks for the rotation next year with, of course, our ace, Drew Thorpe. I thought the gap between Thorpe and those 2 guys would decrease throughout the year, but if anything, it got bigger, which more so speaks to Thorpe. The bullpen got a lot better. Tony Santillan over 100 strikeouts. Penn Murphy had a great year. We had some good flashes the first couple of months from Kyle Nelson before he forgot how to pitch. Inoli Paredes was pretty good. Obviously, Cionel Perez was solid before we traded him away. And then the young guys in the rotation. We've got a couple open spots. Drew Thorpe, Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith. That's 1, 2, 3 in the rotation. What about the other 2? Could it be Wilkerman Gonzalez? Could it be Jagger Haynes? Could it be some guys who we pay in free agency? Thorpe led the way in WAR, followed shortly behind by Smith and Schultz. Tony Santillan next. I guess the 11 Ks per 9 will do that. Could Hayden Wesneski get a spot in the rotation next year? I think that's certainly in play as well. If the owners do let us spend money, it's hard to imagine we would not really focus on the pitching, whether it's a starter or a reliever. We're going to look to make the pitching staff better. We'll look at the minor league stats as well. Corey Julks putting up video game numbers, as did Oswaldo Escobedo. The 2 of them, 2 of the best players in minor league baseball this year. Jason Morobel, who we got from the Rangers, has played great over the last 2 months, playing even better than he did with Texas. He's going to get a nice ratings boost in the offseason. He's a 66 now. I would expect he'll be in the low 70s into next year. Weird season for Montgomery. He drew a lot of walks, which is good. Still inconsistent at the plate. Once Braden Montgomery's more consistent, I think he's going to be a very good player, though. Jacob Gonzalez, of course, was solid as well. Romeo Sanabria and Claudio Rubio were a little disappointing. They were both better in the majors, oddly enough. Escobedo led in WAR, even though he only played half the year, and then Julks only played like a third of the year. He ends up being in second. The 2 of those guys were ridiculous. As for the pitching, Alexis Cosmo's a guy we haven't really talked about. I'm going to invite him to spring training next year. Maybe he gets one of those starting pitcher spots. Owen White might get another opportunity. Maybe Grant Taylor or Emiliano Teodo. Jairo Uriarte, of course, was great. 1.82 ERA. There's a part of me that does not want to give up on him because we've seen him start so well, but he's started a full season's worth of games at the big league level, and we really haven't even seen the flashes of him going more than 5+ innings. As for the Double-A team, we had some guys play quite well. Remember George Tovar, 99 potential. We haven't talked about him a ton. He only had 90 at-bats, but he was pretty productive. Martin Burt, our first-round pick, I would say met expectations. He'll start next year in AAA. Ryan Burrows had a really good year. There were a few guys on this AA team who really surprised me. DJ Gladney led the Southern League in batting average with Burt in second. Granted, it's easier to lead the minors in batting average because, for one thing, I think hitting stats are deflated in the minors, along with the fact that there just aren't that many qualified hitters to begin with because guys are moving up and down between AA and AAA in the majors. But still, shout out to DJ Gladney winning the batting title. A guy I was hoping for a little bit more from was Leonardo Balcazar. He did play well the last couple of months of the year. Robert Brisson I wanted more from as well. He was not good in AAA. Chase Mydroff was impressive, though. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot in this series. He's obviously been good in real life for the White Sox, but he hit for good power, drew a ton of walks. He had a great year. You know who did not have a great year? Our international free agent signing, Arsene De La Fontaine. He's got a lot of work to do. He's only 19, so we'll give him time. Shout out Ryan Burrows, though. He was top 4 in all of AA in terms of position players in WAR. Martin Burt not too far behind. And then De La Fontaine bringing up the rear. Certainly not a great look for one of our better prospects, especially considering some of the other international free agents were really good. But again, he's young. We'll give him time. In terms of the pitching, Boyce Merrifield was pretty solid. Sal Casey, certainly the best prospect on the AA roster. He was pretty good. And I think next year we're definitely going to get Rod White on the AA team, our second rounder last year. He's got a potential, really, really intriguing arm. As for Barney Wagner, he's probably going to start next year in AAA. I don't think he really needs AA, but we'll see. We'll figure it out as we decide what the roster looks like. Of course, by the time we get to the next episode, we're going to see some rating changes as well, not just for our team, but across all of the majors. And that's going to bring us into a really exciting offseason. Now that we are free from the shackles of Jerry Reinsdorf and we had the Ishbia brothers, we can possibly spend a little money. The offseason wheel will still be here. It's going to look a little bit different now that the Reinsdorfs are gone. It's still going to create for a challenge, though, and I'm curious for you guys to see what that will end up looking like. Hope you guys enjoyed another fun season, though, of the White Sox franchise leading into an exciting offseason and hopefully a fun year number 4. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.